Back in the days, Rome could turn on you fast. One day you're respected, protected, and surrounded by people who swear they're loyal. The next day, the room gets quieter, the smiles disappear, and everyone suddenly remembers that they have somewhere else to be. Not because you've changed, because power shifted. Somewhere inside that kind of world, Seneca wrote a set of letters that still feels dangerously personal. Short messages, direct advice, the kind you reread when your mind starts slipping, when time feels like it's leaking away, and when fear shows up before anything has even happened. So, what exactly is hidden in these letters that can teach you how to stay calm when everything around you feels unstable? Because once you hear it, you'll start catching your own mind in real time. Seneca's advice carries weight for one simple reason. He didn't write it from safety. He wrote it while living inside the Roman machine, where status could change faster than weather. Born in Spain and raised in Rome, he rose into public life as a lawyer, senator, and one of the most recognizable minds of his time. That kind of visibility came with benefits, but it also came with danger. In the early part of his career, he got pulled straight into the empire's paranoia. During the reign of Emperor Claudius, he was accused of adultery with Julia Livilla and sent into exile on Corsica. The charge was political, the punishment was real, and he spent years away from Rome, riding and waiting while the city kept moving without him. Then, the world turned again. In 49 AD, Seneca was recalled from exile and brought back into the center of power when Agrippa chose him to tutor her son, Nero. That appointment wasn't a quiet job. It meant Seneca was now shaping the mind of a future emperor while standing close enough to the throne to get burned by it. For a while, he and the Praetorian prefect Barus were seen as key influences during Nero's early rule. Seneca wrote speeches, handled political pressures, and watched the cost of power up close. Rome wasn't a place where you could pretend character didn't matter. Your choices followed you, your enemies watched you, and your reputation could become a weapon in someone else's hands. But why didn't he write a book then? Well, Seneca could have written a grand philosophy book and stamped his name across it like a monument. Rome loved that kind of performance. Public wisdom, polished speeches, big statements meant to travel through the empire and impress strangers. Seneca already had the status for it, and he already had the audience. Instead, Letters from a Stoic arrives in a much quieter form. It's a collection of letters written to a man named Lucilius Jr., who served as a Roman official in Sicily, and the letter format changes everything. He doesn't sound like a lecturer standing above you. He sounds like a man talking across a table, choosing his words carefully because he knows they might actually be used. Each letter works like a small training session. One idea, one warning, one mental habit to practice. It's philosophy broken into pieces small enough to carry through a normal day. That's why the writing feels so alive. He moves from big concepts to practical advice without slowing down. He talks about fear, time, anger, wealth, pain, and reputation the way a person talks about weather when they've been caught in the storms too many times. He doesn't treat wisdom like a trophy you win. He treats it like something you rehearse. Even the way he speaks to Lucilius is part of the lesson. He pushes him, challenges him, encourages him, and reminds him that progress is supposed to look messy at first. And once you realize these letters are meant to be used in real time, one enemy starts showing up on almost every page: time. In one of his most famous letters, on the Shortness of Life, Seneca makes a point that sounds simple and then refuses to leave your mind. Life feels short because so much of it gets taken away. Not stolen by villains, but handed over in small pieces. Meetings that go nowhere, conversations built on vanity, chasing approval from people who forget you the moment you leave the room. Staying busy so you don't have to sit alone with your thoughts. Seneca doesn't treat busy as a sign of importance. He treats it as a form of drift. A person can fill every hour and still never truly live, because living requires attention. It requires presence. It requires choosing what deserves your mind. And the most dangerous part is how normal it all feels. Time doesn't vanish with fireworks. It goes through the cracks. You lose it in distractions. You lose it in habits you've never questioned. You lose it trying to keep up with other people's expectations. Then one day, you realize you've been sprinting in circles. His solution is sharp and almost aggressive. Guard your time like it's the most valuable thing you own. He tells Lucilius to treat each day as a complete life, to stop acting like tomorrow is guaranteed, and to stop postponing the work of becoming steady. He even warns against living like a person who's always about to start, always about to change, always about to get serious. Because once time is gone, it doesn't come back with an apology. It doesn't return to you because you finally understood the lesson. It just moves on, and you either used it well or you didn't. That's why he starts here. Before fear, before money, before anything else. If you can't control your time, you won't control your life. Once he teaches you to protect your time, he returns to the next thief that shows up even when your calendar is empty. Fear. In his letters, anxiety isn't treated like a mysterious curse. Seneca treats it like a habit of the mind, something people practice every day without realizing they're training themselves to suffer. He warns Lucilius about living ahead of your own life. The mind starts running simulations, building disasters that haven't happened, then reacting to them as if they're already real. A person can be sitting safely at home and still feel the stress of a shipwreck, because the imagination is capable of dragging the body into panic without asking permission. He keeps pushing one blunt truth. Suffering often arrives twice, first in the mind, then in reality, if it even arrives at all. People rehearse pain early, then act surprised when they feel exhausted. They treat worry like preparation, as if panic is a form of intelligence. Seneca sees it as wasted energy spent on an uncertain future. His advice isn't to become careless. He wants clarity. He tells Lucilius to focus on what is actually happening, not what might happen. He even suggests that many of the things we fear lose their power once we look at them directly. Fear grows in the dark. It thrives on vague shapes and half-formed stories. The moment you name the problem clearly, you start pulling it into the realm of reason. He also reminds him that some events are outside of human control, and fighting that reality only multiplies the damage. A storm doesn't become calmer because you're angry at the sky. A delay doesn't reverse itself because you panic. The mind can either stay steady and act when action is possible, or it can burn itself down with imagined disasters. That's the Stoic move Seneca keeps teaching. Separate the real from the projected. Meet what is in front of you. Leave the rest alone. Because the future will arrive on its own schedule, and fear won't stop it. It only stills the present while you wait. When fear loses its grip, another pressure takes its place. The quiet pool of wealth, comfort, and status. Seneca's warnings about desire land differently because he wasn't speaking from the outside. He lived in the world of influence, luxury, and political advantage. Ancient sources describe him as extremely wealthy, owning large estates and lending money, and his position near the imperial court placed him among the most powerful men in Rome. That made him a perfect target for envy, suspicion, and moral criticism. And he knew it. In the letters, he keeps returning to a theme that sounds simple and then becomes uncomfortable. The problem isn't possessions, it's attachment. A person can live with very little and still be greedy. A person can have everything and still feel poor because the hunger keeps growing. Seneca describes this kind of craving as a sickness that doesn't heal through feeding it. It only becomes more demanding. He tells Lucilius to practice being content with less, not as a performance, but as training. In several letters, he recommends voluntary discomfort, choosing simple food and rough clothing for short periods so the mind learns it can survive without constant softness. The goal is freedom. When you know you can endure less, you stop being terrified of losing comfort. He also warns about the social side of wealth. Money doesn't just buy objects. It buys expectations. It invites comparison. It pulls people into chasing status, then forces them to keep up that image. The more a person builds their identity around external things, the more fragile they become, because anything external can be taken. This matters in his world because power had a price. Favor could disappear. Alliances could collapse. The same crowd that praised you could turn cold. He watched that reality up close, and the letters read like a man reminding himself not to let luxury turn into dependency. His message to Lucilius is steady. Use what you have. Enjoy it with gratitude, and keep your mind prepared to let it go. The person who needs less is harder to control. The person who can lose things without collapsing is already rich, and the only way that lasts. Once you stop being owned by possessions, he brings to you the final thing that owns everyone at some point: mortality. In his world, death was part of the weather. Emperors fell, friends vanished, exile could become execution. A career could end in a single accusation. So when he tells Lucilius to think about mortality, he wasn't trying to sound deep. He's trying to keep him sane. Throughout the letters, he returns to the idea that fear of death quietly controls people long before death arrives. It makes them cling to comfort. It makes them tolerate humiliation. It makes them chase distractions so they don't have to sit still with the truth. He treats that fear like a chain, and his goal is to break it. He pushes Lucilius to rehearse the thought of death, not as a gloomy obsession, but as a mental discipline. If the mind can face the worst outcome calmly, then everything else becomes easier to carry. Losing money feels lighter. Losing status feels survivable. Even pain becomes less terrifying when it stops being tied to the panic of finality. He also challenges the way people talk about time. He tells Lucilius to stop acting like life is something you truly own. It's something you are borrowing, day by day, without a guaranteed return date. That's why he urges him to live with urgency, not the frantic kind, but the focused kind. Do what matters now. Speak honestly now. Stop postponing courage. And there's another layer to it. Seneca believed that learning how to die well is part of learning how to live well. A person who has accepted mortality can finally live without being bullied by it. They can take risks with integrity. They can lose without collapsing. They can face hardship without begging reality to change. In the end, the letters teach stability. They teach how to live without panic, without chasing, and without collapsing under pressure. And that might be the most powerful kind of freedom a human being can never earn. And that's it. Now to you. If you could read just one Seneca letter before your worst day ever, which one would you choose and why? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.